Greetings and welcome to a Wednesday edition of the Shotgun Start. It is June 18th. Andy, how we doing?
Brendan, I gotta say, I'm doing all right. I've been having to practice pronouncing a word for a while. Also, I gotta say that our producer extraordinaire kind of completely jammed me. I left it in, let the world laugh at me as I struggle through. I don't know. I got like 2 hours of sleep. I took a flight back, and I'm reading Spaun's quotes that I can't pronounce. Academies on the fried egg pod.
I've heard
Trevor.
about this. I haven't gotten to it yet.
I will hand up. I tried very hard to cut everything out, but at the end of the day, you did not even pronounce the word correctly at the end of the struggle, so I couldn't really do that much.
You could have just at least cut it to me saying something, some semblance of the word.
While
it was happening, I'm like, well, PJ will take care of this.
What was the end product?
I also was running on like 5 seconds of sleep.
Academies.
I got home. I listened to it. I was like, all right, I got to work on that. I spent like 10 minutes being like, how can I fix this? And then I got distracted, and I knew that the word did not make it out of your mouth anyway. So it happened.
That's all right.
It's what happened.
I mean, do you understand the amount of minutes we've had to talk basically with no plan, no autopilot, no real sense of where we're going, not reading? And that I think our pronunciations have actually been quite, the ratio is quite good over the last 6, 7, 8 years of podcasting. These people on TV know exactly where they're going every minute, know exactly the rundown, know exactly the names they're going to have to say. I remember year one, I went with Judah Newgarden. I that wasn't a good. I quickly learned it's Jutanagarn. Like, we've had a list of mispronunciations, and Andy's on zero sleep. Does he know how to say academies? Probably. Yes, I would bank on that one. But academies is better content as far as I'm concerned at this point.
I mean, it got us a bunch of YouTube comments, so the algorithm is loving academies.
It was bad. It was a bad situation.
It's fine. It's totally
luckily it hopefully didn't ruin the podcast. But
oh god,
an example of me being a complete idiot. Other issue that I'm dealing with that I'm going to overcome today. I left the door open, so my dog could just kind of rove around,
wander.
I got a big fly in here that's just buzzing around.
Well, that'll happen. You'll overcome the hardship. I
don't know if I can go on.
You're
I have to
with
get
that?
off and let you guys take the reins here.
You're a professional. Maybe not a professional pronunciator, but you are a professional podcaster.
Academies.
There we go. We're on. Any other regrets, thoughts, follow-ups from U.S. Open? We're going to get to Brian Rolapp here. Big news on the PGA Tour front. I've just got a full rundown.
You know what? I don't have any regrets. I just want to air out. The data boys are coming for me. They're trying to jam me, and they're comparing Oakmont to PGA Tour courses. That's their to prove how tough it was. It's like you're gonna compare Oakmont with the data set this TPC Craig Ranch is in to prove your point, and as opposed to maybe past U.S. Open courses. Like, also, I thought Roberto Castro had a great tweet this morning. It's amazing how everybody's just using strokes gained as a crutch to explain everything. And it's so ridiculous. It's like I think it's
like a
insane.
Black and white verdict when you say SG.
Yeah, where people are. It's like I was out at Oakmont watching golf all week, formulating thoughts. And you're some computer algorithm that is like extraordinarily flawed in the sense of like it you don't gain more strokes if you make like a downhill slider than if you make a dead straight uphill 5-footer. same distance. Like we want to have an open discussion about strokes gained and some of the issues with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I'm just, I didn't need that on Monday morning, no sleep. Listen, this podcast is always going to be, we watch the golf, we give our thoughts on the golf. If you don't like the thoughts, don't, it's not like a personal, none of this is vindictive or personal or anything. It's just, this is just what we think.
I would say we also try to present as full of view with what we understand, appreciate, and quite honestly can have like real insight about. And like you've done years and years of work and research and study on subjects. You've had a life in the game of golf. Both of us have. And I think like we're going to present a full view. This is not dismissive of data. It's not dismissive of strokes gained. I definitely try to present a few of those elements in our Sunday podcast. I had read up on the data set that some of the people were discussing. I tried to present that a few of those elements that, hey, this is a 4-day snapshot. It is not the best player of the first 3 months of the year. The tournament did generally reward a good player playing extremely well for that week. And it wasn't a total straight up, garbage player doing it with smoke and mirrors. We present a full view of and it's not to dismiss the statistic community. I think like what they do and contribute on the gambling front, on the analysis front from Data Golf is for fans. Like it's not just for handicappers. We talked to one of their guys, like it's done with a fair amount of rigor and intellectual rigor. And like, we appreciate that. I think there's just like, there's a fuller picture that we also want to present. And, your feelings on rough, I think are incredibly well-founded. They're well-founded and they come, I think it's pretty clear your point, your insight of what that can do. And like whether or not that immediately Venn diagram lines up with some of the data is not dismissive of that, if that makes sense. And so we do try to present a pretty full view, in my opinion. And I had like read up on the exact data set and the exact like skill rewarded this, that. Look, JJ Spaun's been a very good player this year and played really well last week with, especially for him on greens. It's also a fact that he's played in one U.S. Open before last week. And his best major championship finish was a T23 at a Masters. I don't know that makes him a fluke, but he certainly didn't have the he wasn't a fluke. Let's be clear. We didn't. I think we tried to demonstrate that pretty clearly, that he was not a fluke. And I guess, I don't know if we need to apologize for calling him a bad winner. I stated pretty clearly at the top, like the first thing you run to as like, oh, this guy's been like this is not a great winner or a downer, is like the shittiest thing you can do. Is that the first point? I think it's a point that could probably be made at some point. It's part of the discourse of like, we've been on this run where the top 5 players in the world and top 10 have been winning the majors. And I think we stated that pretty clearly. I don't really necessarily have any real regrets on how we framed Oakmont. It was chaotic the last 2 hours. And JJ Spaun's story is incredible. It's an incredible one. He played extremely well, has been playing well, and was rewarded with the U.S. Open. So I thought we presented a pretty full view.
Yeah, and if people listened all week, on Thursday after watching one day of golf, I suggested that we might get a lesser-known winner because of the setup. And whether you're the biggest SpawnCon fan in the world, or whether you're not, I think we all could agree that this was not a big name winner.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And I believe, whether the data agrees with me or not, and I will continue to believe, that the setup, played its way. It played a huge role in the tournament being the way it was, which, like, honestly, 68 holes into the tournament, 10 guys could have won the tournament.
Yep.
And I personally don't like national championships that have setups that produce that type of results. And part of that was the weather. Let's be very clear. But it the way it was set up, to me, if it was firm, it would have been just, impossible to judge who was playing well, because it would have been impossible to keep the ball on fairways to an extent and out of the hack it out rough.
Yep. Another thing on US Open cleanup. I think the CM Burns discourse has been really reductive to one ruling. Guy he lost way more than just because of the standing water issue on 15. And
agree with that.
The hollering about that, like the official lost him the US Open, is insanely reductive to the other 71 holes and shots.
Can we talk about his play on 11?
Sure.
The double bogey on one of the easiest holes on the golf course, that was before the ruling. Can we talk? Do you want to talk about the wedge shot he hit on 12, which might have been the worst shot that we saw anybody hit in the final 2 hours?
Tough shot.
It was a brutal shot. It was like he missed the green with like a wedge, which is his strong suit. This is the thing. It was the missed putt on 14 right before that. The missed putt on,
I just saw headlines like I would have been walking off the golf course screaming bloody murder. You lost me the US Open. And that is just like,
I'll be won over at that point?
For the championship?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
He needed to play 14 or 15, 16, 17, 18, 2 under.
He made a double there, I believe, right? When he slapped it.
Because he ended at 4.
Yeah. So I'll indulge that he might have gotten jammed on the ruling, but it's so reductive to say that lost him the US Open. Other stuff that's been overinflated. Windy fallout, as you've taken to calling him. Windy with the Y, 2 Ys. I heard on Golf Channel on Monday, the president of the club called the behavior disturbing. I don't think Oakmont is, and they shouldn't be taking it lightly or taking it quietly. I believe Eamon asked who was going to send him the bill, the USGA or the club, and the president said both. I don't know if that's true or accurate or just a bit of TV banter. So that continues to be a fallout. I think Windy will have to reckon with those actions in one form or fashion or another. But there's a scale here of you don't throw him in jail, you don't take his exemption, but there should be some real reprimand.
You want an unsubstantiated rumor?
I would love nothing more than an unsubstantiated rumor.
Rumor is that Oakmont doesn't want him back.
What to come for an appearance? Or what are we saying?
Doesn't want him back next time they host the U.S. Open. Not welcome.
Which is 33, so he'd still be exempt following
last year of his exemption.
Okay,
so he could lose the last year of his exemption. Apparently, I from my sourcing on this, which is unsubstantiated. Completely unsubstantiated. The USGA would capitulate.
No, that's where I was going next. All right, your sourcing, I hope, is just the baker at Oakmont Bakery or something. But I trust that you're talking.
It's the salesman. It's the guy that greets you. It was the second you get out of your car and harasses you through the lot.
He gives you a new Hyundai. He gives you a new Hyundai, but he's texting Andy on the side about how Windham is, he can't get a cronut. No cronuts for Windham. No new Hyundais.
I stopped there on my way out of town yesterday. I was going by it to get on the highway to come back to Maryland. I went in. It's just going to my kids would love this stuff, whatever, sugar. It's preposterous. It's just totally ridiculous. I almost walked out overwhelmed. I just grabbed the first thing I saw, so they had a treat. It's a total, it's a car dealership. It's insane.
I don't understand. Are they really that popular every day of the week?
Well, I mean, I think it might be crazy popular.
Why is that place so big?
I think that's the bakery maybe in Pittsburgh. It's obviously it was insane. The parking situation, they had like this whole thing down to a science. It was crazy.
I think that the bakery might have gotten in on the anchor site deal. I've been thinking about that. Is Oakmont Bakery, did they get a cut of
they built up?
Do you think PJ's buddy Josh Shapiro cut him like a tax break that enable them to build the car dealership that is the bakery? Because like Shapiro said, like we need a bigger bakery, so we're gonna give them some exempt status, and they're able to plow it back into to building a car dealership.
I don't know if you heard, we got cited some wonderful tourism statistics, $150 billion or whatever it was in the state of Pennsylvania. It's a big industry.
Windy, like, I'm sorry if we're giving clubs the ability to disinvite players. I love Oakmont. I think it's awesome place. Great. I think generally a great like club. I don't know if it's blue collar or somewhere sort of propagating last week. I think it's cool though. I think it is good. It's not their place to decide who can't play the national championship. And that is an insanely slippery slope for the USGA to even entertain. I'm sorry. Like if someone, slept with the president's wife at the next place they're going to, some player, and he qualified, you're going to give club power to just do that? Like that's a very slippery slope. Does that mean I think Wyndham's like in the right? Of course not. But that would be crazy. Last bit of I think that does. U.S. Open cleanup. The Rory stuff. I think it seemed like Sunday he got he seemed to be happier boy on Sunday. Maybe because he might have encountered PJ and you out there. I don't know. You bring some levity to the situation. Start talking about favorite fruits or the bakery looking like an Hyundai dealership. Who knows? But He looked improved. That said, the week by and large, just my consumption in the last 48 hours, like the deciding not to talk or the approach that he took, when you get a week that I'll call flatter, the scrolling, it's like Rory is the story and Rory's attitude and his mindset. It was the Scott Van Pelt podcast, Dan Patrick show I saw was like, it becomes this larger takeaway story, the deciding not to talk, where you think you might be stifling something. It's like, what's wrong with Rory? What's wrong with his attitude? I was a little taken aback by that becoming still a thing on whatever it was, Monday and Tuesday that I've done my scrolling. So it's anyway.
I got a question, and this is just me as a media member.
Yeah.
But like, if I was just a fan, would I really care whether Rory talks to the media or not?
I'm not sure they do. Maybe they do.
And this just becomes the media just like talking about it because it's like central to their life.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. But if you are going to talk like the way he did on whatever it was Saturday, just being a little grumpy boy, then I think that was kind of ridiculous. And the throwing clubs and all that, I don't even mind. It's just all in total.
How about his baton toss on Sunday?
That was sick. The righty-lefty combo.
Billy
toss
hurt
righty,
his hip.
Catch lefty. Yeah.
Do you think he can still practice? Do you think he's just doing hand twirls right now?
We've seen him do like the low toss, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm sure he's practicing his baton toss. He's probably putting in the backyard or wherever he has a green and just throwing it every time he misses on the high side or something like that. Get practicing the baton toss. I don't have much else from US Open cleanup. You have anything else you want to get off before we move on to Rolap?
I guess listen, I didn't want to like squash JJ Spaun. I feel like I like almost cried on the 18th green. I think I said that.
Yeah, you did say that, I think.
It was an amazing story. Like it's an amazing talked about this with Trevor, but like it's amazing when somebody like progressively works their way up. I I mean, like one of the first events I covered in golf was the Web.com tour. And, I was friends with a guy that was running the tour, and he was like, you got to go watch JJ Spaun. And I followed him for like an entire round, and like he's always been like really good ball striker, tee to green. And I think what's neat about Spaun is like just the journey. He went from like Canada. He started Canada, and it's like what he said. He didn't play AJGA golf, and it's what we talk a lot about with Scotty Scheffler. Is like, when Scotty was working with Randy Smith as a kid, is like, listen, we're trying to be the best golfer at age 25. JJ Spawn's the best version of himself at age 34, and that's really neat. Like, I think like everybody who plays golf, recreationally or for a living, should take inspiration in the idea of like getting better and better as you reach middle age. And if JJ Spaun keeps getting better, then he's going to look like history will look back and be like, that was a really good winner that they got at Oakmont. If he wins at the clip that he's currently winning on, which he's won 2 events on the PGA Tour in 7 years or so, I think that's about as long as he's been out there. And obviously, like, he's dealt with stuff. He's dealt with diabetes, and he overcame that.
Yep.
But if he wins, 4 times in his career, and he has the U.S. Open at Oakmont, I'm never taking. He's always going to be able to say he's a U.S. Open winner at Oakmont. But we're going to look back, like people look back and besmirch Jimmy Walker's win. Jimmy Walker's like a bona fide, like multiple time President's Cup and Ryder Cup player, and people like the same people that are like, oh, like you're making fun of JJ Spaun. I'm not making fun. I'm getting in awe of his win. But like, let's just be real here. Is like people make fun of JJ with Jimmy Walker. Jimmy Walker was like a great player. He was, top 20 player on the PGA Tour for like a decade, and he gets run under like, oh, that was a terrible winner at Baltusrol.
Yeah, I mean, if you want just sunshine and rainbows, just go to PGA Tour or something. We're not going to do that. We're not like dogging on him at all. But like his record is what it is. Like presenting a picture is part of what we're supposed to do. And I find the story incredibly compelling. The swing boys seem to love him, but Brandel was comparing him to Hogan on several occasions on Saturday. Paul McGinley said he's got the best action on tour, and if he's not going to be on the U.S. team, the Euros should see if he can get him a passport because he belongs on the European. McGinley was just smitten, absolutely smitten. I don't know if it was the medal in combination with the swing and how he came out, stayed on his front foot. He has some
medal.
He does have some medal.
I think
got
like
plenty of medal.
One thing we didn't talk about enough was like the impact of the rain delay.
Yeah.
And like, you can't replay history, but I think he pretty much admitted this. Like, he doesn't win without the rain delay. The rain delay was
20
like,
there. Yeah.
Was like the time they needed to reset and gather himself from like the horrific start, which like part of their horrific start was like one of the worst breaks of the tournament with the off the flag on the second hole, which should have been like a kick and birdie, but instead turned into a bogey. But like having the time to just reset, because those are those rounds where it just like goes the wrong way and just keeps going the wrong way. Interesting thing about the swing, and I hope LKD used this. We were talking, but Luke Curdenine, incredible reporter, writer, just generally a great golf mind because he's very curious about things. I think I think that's what makes Luke very good at his job. But he said he told me he talked to his swing coach, and what he got was one of JJ. The swing coach says JJ's weight transfer is elite, and it's because of his skateboarding background.
That's like feeling the feet, feeling your. That's interesting.
Like just like the comfort. If you think about like skateboarding to like, if I got on a skateboard, I might break my neck at this point in life.
Yep.
But thinking about skateboarding, it's so balance driven and like ground force driven where you're pushing down into the board to do stuff. It makes complete sense because that is like the core, the key to the golf swing.
Yep.
Is that ground action and the ability to use the ground. So that's kind of a neat thing. And listen, like JJ Spaun was a flusher 9 years ago or 8 years ago when I watched him on the Korn Ferry Tour, then the Web.com Tour. He is still a flusher now. I mean, he's picked up a little speed, and it's going to, if he keeps improving on and around the greens, I think this might be a winner, an Oakmont winner. We look back and be like, oh, that was a good winner.
Would Lucas Glover be a nice comp? Won a U.S. Open. I mean, he's a little older than Lucas Glover was, I suppose. Anyways, we'll see.
I don't know. Lucas Glover.
Obviously, the putting
guys,
roller coaster.
Real pro.
Yeah. So too high a ceiling.
Talking like, I mean, he's gonna have
Clemson
like a 30
all the way
career
through.
on the PGA Tour.
Yeah. I mean, it was a stud from pretty much Clemson on. I'm just trying to think of like one-time U.S. Open.
JJ Spaun was a 2-time All-American at San Diego State. It's not like this guy was chopped liver.
No.
I think that's like the other thing that like is being missed a little bit is like, I mean, this guy was damn good as a college player. Like they just don't give out All-American awards, you know. And I mean, he was awesome on the Canadian Tour. He got right up to the PGA Tour, right up.
One other quick nugget on cleanup. Coming out of the rain delay, and then after the round, he's like, you know, this big thing from Tiger that Tiger told Max, and Max Homa told him is like, you just kind of got to be there, be around, and hang in. I was reading actually 2012 stuff, transcript. It was interesting. Webb Simpson was talking similarly. He's like, I never really went out thinking I was going to win or plan to win. The course is so freaking hard that I just wanted to make pars. And I'm just like, I never entertained the actual like end result of winning. I never thought about winning or trying to win. I just kept thinking about, I don't know, making a par. And wherever that ended up is where it ended up. A similar mindset, I think, here of like, I don't know, just trying to just hang around and be there. And you never know. Maybe you'll get a rain delay. Maybe guys will start, you know, blasting it all over the place and just kind of hanging. And that's, I think, probably fairly unique to the U.S. Open. Not totally unique, but somewhat to the U.S. Open.
I think it's unique to Oakmont too, because at Oakmont, like just crazy stuff happens, and the magnitude of misses, the impact is huge on a regular round, but then the final round it almost gets ratcheted up. I think what was one thing interesting was like we're on a text chain with Trevor Immelman, and like he was hammering that even was great. Even was going to be great. Even like the whole week, even was going to be. And if you look at like the scoring, you know, you get to Sunday, and the idea that even was going to win or thereabouts was kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, it didn't seem.
And like JJ won at 1 under because he made a 65-foot putt on 18.
Right.
Right.
Birdie's the last
and
two.
He said he didn't know the score. I have a feeling if he knew he needed like a par or a birdie to win, like he's probably not going to make the putt. Like there's all sorts of circumstance. But like to me, what's crazy is like it's hard to ever be in the mindset in that final round. Like if you're Adam Scott and it's like, hey man, if you shoot 73 today, you're going to be in a playoff. Or Sam Burns, like you just have to shoot 74.
Kind of.
Like that's crazy. Not in your purview, especially Adam Scott after he's gone 70, 70, 67. Like it's so achievable when you play it out that way, But when you're in the moment, you're thinking like they had to be thinking like, can I get to? And this is like the hard part of playing golf competitively is like the psychological pretzel that you get into of like, hey, you create these numbers in your head, but the reality is like the only way to play great golf is to take like each shot and it's like, and not worry about what numbers you're making. And that's what Spaun did that nobody else did. And that's why he it's amazing. Absolute. I think like the thing that probably has gone underreported the most and is like just how amazing having the start he had and winning the tournament.
40 out in 40.
Like you're spinning, and that's where that rain delay was like a savior, because like you don't get timeouts in golf like other sports. You don't get to just like break the momentum and sit down and talk to somebody about what happened. You know, Sam Burns used a timeout on the 8th tee box, but normally you don't get them.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It's a good Sunday looking back on it. It was entertaining. It was a good Sunday. Yeah, just that mindset is interesting and something maybe we didn't fully hit on Sunday. And reading those old web quotes about 2012 Olympic sort of rain similarly now 13 years later. All right, if you're struggling with your game, if you're spinning, you're spiraling, and you need help at home, you can go to perfectpractice.com.
That's right.
What
JJ did? Made a few tweaks. To his putter, got the handle a little higher up, promoted a better stroke, got the ball online. One of the ways that I think the best way to check if you're getting the ball online, get a putting mat that's got a line on it. That's one of my favorite parts about the Perfect Practice putting mat. I was on the putting green a fair amount this week at Oakmont. There are chalk lines everywhere. Chalk line is like the tried and true, old school, quintessential, still relevant, perfect way to practice putting. And guess what? Perfect Practice putting mat. They got 2 chalk lines on it, effectively. They got one that goes to the big hole, one that goes to the little hole. Both those have the ball returner, and you can just sit there and hit on a chalk line all day long. You're going to get better at putting.
I love a good ball returner. And I also love a good promo code. With SGS, you get 15% off. And get this, you can stack it, pile it up on top of each other with 20% off for Father's Day, which is going through. Father's Day is not just a day at perfectpractice.com. It's through 6/21. So as of this recording, you got 4 more days. So stack SGS promo code gets you 15% off on the already 20% off site-wide for Father's Day. Don't ask me to do what it's off of from what ton. We've already been down that road. Just know it's 20% off site-wide through 6/21. Then use the promo code SGS for additional 15% off at checkout. Full Perfect Practice assortment can be found at perfectpractice.com or walmart.com. Jeez, you could get anything at Walmart, huh?
I mean,
how about that?
I know we're supposed to write that. We're supposed to talk about that.
Yeah.
You could go get one at Walmart if that's the easiest way. Support the local business. Support the small business. Go or online order. Yeah.
Walmart's kind of a mom and pop deal. They're not. Don't be casting aspersions.
That's right. Right. They are a mom and pop. You know, the Waltons just
little Waltons.
Just family business. They're a family business.
You might be supporting JJ Spaun's TGL team, Motor City Golf Club, if you go to Walmart and buy it there.
We should talk about the TGL implications. Did JJ Spaun put a gun to Detroit Golf Club's head and say, "You have to pick me"?
I'm more worried about your frogs.
What are you worried about? We won a major. We got Adam Scott. We got Adam Scott contending in a major. Keegan
I'm worried about
is
priorities
playing his
at
way.
home.
Keegan's
Fan
playing
bases
his
are
way.
going to turn on you.
Listen,
you're trading Devers.
Tough week for Boston sports.
Where's Fenway Sports Management right now? They're trading Devers. The fans are pissed.
Liverpool is projected to sign a high-dollar transfer, so maybe
they're
that's
focused
where all
on the frogs. They're trading Devers. Still focused on the frogs. I mean, it's interesting what's going on.
Can I propose a theory?
Yeah.
I think Rory has been so cantankerous and difficult with the press because he misses Marty Smith. If Marty's not there asking the questions, he's uninterested in the interview.
Do you think we should just, when he's at a scrum, start going, "Thank you for your spirit. Thank you for your spirit." And that'll put him in a better mood. Thank you for your spirit.
Maybe more golf media members should take notes from Marty on how to get these guys to open up.
Rory, tell me about that. Sure. Okay. Maybe we'll work on that. Yeah, well, interesting. Motor City, JJ Spaun coming to Motor City Golf Club. That would be a good one. Everybody loves a good PGL discussion.
You could have JJ Spaun, the guy that talked about how he didn't have the upbringing, didn't play AGGAs, root the team with JJ Spaun and Mav McNeely on the other end of the spectrum. Stanford, like those are your two big players.
Kind of good. I mean, Detroit's not without its aristocratic class, its old money class there. So you can have representation across the board. Here we are.
Let's go to Russ Henley in.
I didn't know if you were going Russ Cochran. Okay. Minute 36. Let's get to the new CEO of the PGA Tour Enterprises. This is Brian Rolapp. He's announced today. We'd heard this was coming last week. Sort of upstaging and alpha in the national championship, that PGA Tour not respecting the national championship.
People should be
yelling
at the PGA Tour for disrespecting JJ Spaun.
There you go. Let's flip it on him.
This is the biggest disrespect. JJ was on with Carson Daly today.
I saw that. Carson's a good golfer. I like
former golf podcaster Carson Daly.
You never know. Never label him former. He could be back in the game any moment now. Everybody starts a podcast these days. Brian Rolapp is your new CEO. Jay Monahan is leaving in 18 months. He's leaving. Seems like he's leaving now, but they're just creating this convoluted gobbledygook of words and titles and positions to keep him on. Yeah, so he's not leaving for 18 months. Going to still be, quote unquote, focused on his board roles while Rolap takes full assumption of his duties at, quote, a later date this summer. Doesn't seem like we know for sure when he's coming on, but it's official that he is. There was a press release. There was an open letter that Rolap sent out. I am here with deep respect and curiosity to listen, learn from all of you, and help take the tour to the next level. Players are central to everything we do, and making sure they are supported and heard will be a top priority. At the same time, we're going to keep challenging ourselves to grow the game in new ways, reach new fans, and create a tour that reflects the future of sports and entertainment. My goal as CEO is to honor golf's traditions, but not be overly bound by them. Talked about getting the best players in the world together in this open letter that he had. So seems like an exciting development. Quite honestly, if you're a PGA Tour person, if you are interested in the PGA Tour being better, I don't think anybody wants to see it be worse or more less entertaining or more uninteresting. What I like about him is he seems to have like a real sort of entertainment and media background, if that makes sense. Like a little bit of a not fan forward, but forward looking media and entertainment background. He looks just like Jim Brewer, I got to say. Very unique look. Looks like Jim Brewer, that of Half Baked and Saturday Night Live fame. He's from the D.C. area, went to Bullis. I noticed he was a all-Met lacrosse player, went to BYU, played lacrosse there, then been with the NFL for like 2 decades. Has a relationship with Scott O'Neill. They both, I think they're both LDS. So Mormons running the global golf world now, or pro golf world. They overlapped at Harvard Business School, so they have a prior relationship there. I found an old tweet of them complimenting each other. He's somewhat of a golf guy, though. I think we're overinflating it. He says he plays 5 to 10 rounds a year, rightfully so. He says, "I'm not here for my golf," which I kind of like. Doesn't have an index anywhere. Said I'm not disclosing that what my index is. He literally might not play golf.
They could come for him. The handicap police might come for him.
He might not play golf.
He's gonna get it. I'll tell you what. He's gonna get a handicap once he meets with the USGA.
Is he gonna get a spot at Pablo Creek? I'm wondering if he's moving down to the moat. They have so many offices there. Is he gonna cross the drawbridge?
Does he live in New York right now?
Yeah, Darien, I think they said, Connecticut.
I feel like he could probably just stay in New York. Might be a good long-term move for the tour.
I think you could. So yeah, he's up in New York. Seems like a smart cookie. Really, what I would say is this feels like the opposite of the PGA move. The opposite of going Rea, Sprague, and bringing in like a real business person, a real sports executive.
I mean, you think about it, he's like number 2 at the NFL.
Yeah.
I don't know the guy. Everybody I've talked to, whether they're in the NFL or associated with the tour, has been very, very positive about him. Obviously, everybody's excited, but I think like probably the most telling would be the people that you're exiting with. And there's been a lot of positivity about this. I think he was in a situation where you get to the top of the NFL and it's like, when's Roger Goodell going anywhere? You know?
Yeah.
And he's seemingly not going anywhere anytime soon. So you probably want to run a shop somewhere. And you look around and Silver's not going anywhere with the NBA. And, you know, he probably looked at this, whether he's a golf guy or not. I think it seems like he's casually interested in golf as an opportunity to run a giant sports organization. And it's got to be exciting. You have to be excited as a golf fan. Because literally like the league that's had the most success creating a product for a mass audience is the NFL. And they've continued to grow despite being like probably pretty tapped out in America. And you look at golf as like this really underutilized, underdeveloped sport in terms of like what it can do both globally but also domestically. And I also think like one of my other favorite aspects of this is like I think like he's coming from a league where the players and the owners work together to create the best product. And if we can bring that mentality of like the idea of like putting the product first and making sure that the product is good in a league that decision making is central to the players, who most of the time are more worried about their personal preferences and performance on the course and not the overarching goals of the organization. I think like that's one of the things that excites me the most, is that you have someone that comes from a league that understands the product.
Kevin Clark had some interesting quotes in the James Colgan article on golf.com. Good article. You can read that about how brilliant Rolap is, first of all. But the NFL obviously is a behemoth and makes a ton of money, but they don't necessarily run to the most at all the time, like looking to gobble up absolutely the most, but trying to think longer term, trying to find different avenues, what might be. And he's been largely a massive voice behind that. Selfishly, like coming from a media background, I'm that like is a check in my book. Seems like he's super, super smart in terms of how he built out NFL media over the last couple decades. Kevin said, I think a lot of leagues have rushed into things. When you look at the NFL's media strategy, has been basically perfect. They want proof of concept of everything. And the reason I think they want proof of concept is because it needs work for both sides. I think that there are other sports that have been exchanged eyeballs for cash. And the NFL has figured out how to get both. I would say this has been a problem for the PGA Tour necessarily. It's kind of like, let's just throw money at the thing, or let's just get the most amount of money, and without sort of an understanding of the product or an understanding of proof of concept. In terms of media, I've never really seen this work. Yet it keeps happening over and over and over again of like, all right, we're just going to raise money and have no audience and have no product, but the money will make the thing. And then the audience will follow. I don't think I've ever seen that work in a decade plus, but it keeps happening. over and over again. We're going to do a press release. We're going to build a studio. We're going to build this website. We're going to do that. Like, you kind of have to make something first. And it seems like Rolap in the NFL have had like an incredible understanding of that. And I don't know that the tour always has. Now, I understand the appeal. He's got $1.5 billion to play with. He's got a new media rights deal that's coming up. Not next year, but they're going to open it up pretty soon to get ahead of it.
It's kind of wild that that's already up. When we were doing this pod when the last time remember how Jay jumped ahead?
Yeah.
That was one of Jay's greatest moments.
Yeah. They did it. They're good. They have some super smart people. The tour always has on the media side, rights side. He had some early quotes like, "Where we deploy that capital, I have ideas, but I'm not going to share them now," is what Rolap said. He's not close enough to the live thing. Wasn't going to go down there. Wasn't going to go down that road. He's like, I'm just learning. What is this whole live split? I'm just trying to figure that out. I don't know if I can speak to that yet. So exciting, I think pretty exciting if you're Rolap, exciting if you're the tour. Jay Monahan, I guess it's exciting. Kind of can chill for the next 18 months. Maybe why he's been a little lighter
you know what
this
he gets
year.
to do?
What's that?
He gets to rest and invest. Watch that pension grow, collect some checks, and take a rest. Fly around on the jet. Go to Steamboat a few extra times.
He is he's allegedly going to be, they were all up there. Monahan, Tiger, Arthur Blank. I got an Arthur Blank quote. I don't know if Arthur Blank, how many meals do you think Arthur Blank's cooked in his life? Probably not a ton. Maybe he's a big cook.
Maybe early in his life. He didn't inherit Home Depot, right?
No, I don't think so. But he said, Brian's been one of the chefs in the kitchen helping brew the kind of successful meals the NFL has produced over the years. He's got that same opportunity at the tour. So chef in the kitchen helping brew successful meals. There's just like a lot of cross metaphors. He's brewing the meal that's successful, but he's a chef in the kitchen. So that was a funny quote from Arthur Blank. I went back, listened to our old friend Andy White's his interview when they announced the tour CEO was up. Yeah, I watched that whole thing again. As good as it is today as it was then. Because this was when we first were made publicly aware of a CEO.
Man, we sure are spitballing, aren't we, Rich?
Forgot I had the soundboard back. It's been a while since we've hit spitballing. There's been a moratorium. Don has been promoted over spitballing, I think, here for a while.
Spitballing got lost in the shuffle.
What's my personal opinion on it? There is no personal opinion. I'm the president of the PGA of America.
So in that White's interview, he kept being asked, like, is this person going to report to Jay? Is this Jay going to report to them? And he was like, oh, no, it's just a complementary skill set. He used that phrase multiple times. Complementary skill set, fresh vision.
Well, thanks. First of all, thanks for saying I don't sound defensive.
Now, balance of power-wise, we're really not focused on that. When I heard the commissioner talk to your team this morning, it was about partnership. It was about bringing a complementary skill set. Natural next step in the evolution of the PGA Tour. Let me tell you, the complementary skill set is to get the hell out of here, and this guy's taking over charge. There's no complementary skill set happening. Maybe that's changed in the intervening 5-6 months, but this guy is the boss. But Jay will stick around for the next year and a half to focus on his roles as PGA Tour board, policy board, and enterprises board. And it will make it a decade to ensure there's a smooth transition. And quote, sunset him, is according to Colgan's interview. Josh Carpenter had a great article on this as well. Quote he gave to Monahan gave to Carpenter. He said, we went through a thorough, productive, and ultimately inspiring process that got us to a place where we unanimously chose Brian. I would love to know what the inspiring. I agreed to stay on through the end of my term to make certain that I do my part to ensure a smooth transition. I'm going to fully support Brian as he steps into the role. So yeah, that's your transition. Jay's hanging on, going to get some nice. I mean, he's being sunset. He's being sort of slowly ushered off the stage, and Rolap's assuming his duties. It seems like there may be a ceremonial replacement commissioner. That title may exist, which could get into some amusing options for that. Maybe we'll discuss that tomorrow on our CBS deal tomorrow.
Amusing commissioner options?
Well, ceremonial. Like
I-
you just come in, you hand out trophies, you talk about, can I follow up a little
Can I
bit?
follow up just a little bit?
I think that's the leader in the clubhouse right now for ceremonial.
Could you imagine that? Can you imagine Rolap having to work with that guy? That'd be awesome. That'd be good.
All right, gentlemen. Welcome to Congressional Country Club.
When did
Today,
this get
that
added?
persistent championship testing rain is settling in. It's one of those days. That rain. It has a way of testing more than just your swing, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? When did that one get added?
I mean, you talk about ceremonial commissioner. This is as good as it can get. If he just pops in and does this for every
essays,
tournament.
just shakes hands, floats around.
All right,
hears his own
gentlemen,
voice.
we're here at CPC River Highlands, where they've committed $2 million to trying to make this a quarter of a shot harder, day after day. Oh, that rough. That River Highlands rough.
At River Highlands today was the whole gang. Gorder, Blank, Tiger. I thought there was great irony in Tiger finally making it up there. When we got his talking points for the fake meeting 3 years ago where he's supposed to be at Travelers, shouting about Jay. Jay, our captain in this scenario, is working his ass off. Oh, he is. I went through the talk. He's the right guy for this war. He's a fighter. He's protected all of us from the worst of it. He's working his ass off just for us to ensure our lives aren't interrupted. The first thing, do what I did. Tell the Saudis to go fuck themselves and mean it. I was looking through those old Tiger talking points where he's supposed to be at Stanford and Travelers shouting. He finally did get up there 3 years later, but it was to announce Jay's replacement and Brian Rolapp. So that's the big PGA Tour news. We'll talk more about that, I'm sure, in the coming weeks as Rolap takes full on authority there. One thing else we'll talk about. Summer's here. We're still summer's like 4 days away. You should be dialed
just
in.
about here.
Maybe you're not dialed in. Maybe you're
What are you gonna do for the longest day of the year? Do you have any plans?
No. What are you gonna do? What is it?
Let's see,
Thursday?
Saturday?
Isn't that what is it? The 20th? 21st? What's
Let's
the
see.
solstice?
I think it's the 21st always, right?
Okay. Well,
maybe it looks like I just pulled up my calendar. I got a kid's birthday party. That's what I'm going to be doing on the solstice.
I'll tell you what sounds like a better alternative. And you need daylight or darkness. You go to clubchampion.com. You can sign up to go get a fitting. Use the promo code FRIDAY. You get a free driver or iron fitting with a club purchase. That's a free driver or iron fitting with a club, not an insignificant amount of money there, money off there. When you use the code FRIDAY at clubchampion.com/FRIDAY, get dialed in. It's going to be a fun golf season. More daylight is coming. They have master fitters with analyzing over 40 million swings per month.
Did you hear about the new thing?
What? What's the new
They got
thing?
the AI fitting tool.
Oh. You know,
I think this is relevant because you've talked about this. There's a pain point. You get worn out at Club Champion. I mean, you go there and you hit more. I'll hit more balls at Club Champion than I
absolutely
hit in,
Do
like
that
if
full
I played
bag.
golf for a week.
Yeah,
And
You do that
you
full
get a little
bag thing.
tired. The
Yeah.
AI guys there just to help narrow it down right out of the gates. So you have to hit less balls.
TrackMan, Sam Putt Lab. You get some real data. They don't have this on everywhere. We're not all fancy. We're not all getting our own personalized wrapped Foresight quad or whatever it is that Bryson DeChambeau got last week at Oakmont. So get some data. Go to clubchampion.com/FriedEgg. You get a free driver or iron fitting with the club purchase using the promo code FriedEgg and rely on their master builder to get you dialed and set up for a full summer of golf. Let's get to the full week of golf. Our schedule for the week, real quick. Where did I have? We have the Travelers Championship. This is at TPC River Highlands, maybe PJ's favorite course on the PGA Tour in Cromwell, Connecticut. Pretty much everybody's there. I mean, they're all coming up. This is essentially, I think it's the last signature event of the year until we get to the playoffs in August. This is 3 to 6 on Golf Channel, 1 to 3 on the weekend with a 6:30 finish on CBS on Saturday, 6 on Sunday. Notables are Cantlay Clark, Windy Clark.
Windy.
I mean, he's just look
I'm
out.
surprised.
If you're under the umbrella this week, look out. It might be damaging property everywhere. Hopefully it's insured.
Do you think the members of TPC River Highlands are worried about their locker room?
You think they say the tour can't come back if Windy goes ham on the lockers?
Pete, you're going to be on the ground.
I am going to be on the grounds. I'm excited.
What
Back in the mix.
3 weeks in a row or 3 out of 4 on the road?
Yeah. We're ready.
Windy Clark.
Do you feel like you're turning your back on the Champs Tour, covering too much PGA Tour golf?
I mean, I Blandy was there. I walked a couple holes with Blandy last week. Got to see Blandy's potentially last U.S. Open. We'll see how it goes at Broadmoor, but I would count that. Phil was around. Why doesn't Phil play the Senior Open? We had this conversation. It was a great conversation. We're wondering. I don't think I'm turning my back on the Champs Tour. Might have some Champs Tour content cooking. I haven't told you guys that yet, but I guess I just did right now. We're good.
Told us. All right.
We're in a good spot.
All right. Everyone's at Travelers. Homa, Hideki, Rory, Colin, Xander, Scotty, Spieth is included, and Justin Thomas.
Sponsor exemption. Jordan Spieth.
I find
Is he still a sponsor exemption, or did he get in?
Was he a sponsor this week, PJ? Did you have that?
He was when he first got announced, but I can check if he actually
didn't move into the Aon 5.
Aon or Swing 5. So yeah, he's in the field. Not $20 million purse. I have always enjoyed this event. I enjoy it. They've got, I don't know if it's signature worthy every year, but they got everybody there. They have like the second largest crowd of the year. They get big crowds. It's rowdy. It's really the only event in New England or Northeast at this point. And a pretty good title sponsor. Golf course, I don't know, like it's not total bomb and gouge, but it's mostly wedge. It's mostly wedges. Whether you're hitting driver into wedges or 3-wood into wedges, you're hitting wedges.
It looks like Spieth is in based on the current year FedEx points list, and his sponsor exemption went to Tom Kim.
Look at that.
There you go.
Who
good
lost
for
the
Jordan
playoff
Spieth
last year.
Using those parlaying the sponsor exemption, the signature event sponsor exemptions into the sponsor exemption. He's now earned his way in based off the handouts.
Points.
Well, furthermore, I would just like to add that JJ Spaun is in as a member of the Aon Next 10.
Oh.
So,
that.
God forbid if he didn't win the U.S. Open, what would we be doing?
Love that.
But that was not an out of nowhere winner.
No.
Right?
Right. The Aon Next 10.
Come on. He was in the Aon Next 10. Stop being disrespectful.
Game within the game this week is they spent however many millions, 10, but I'm going to say between 10 and 20 million to make the course more difficult.
I don't think they spent that much money. I think it was more modest. Yeah, I think it was sub 10. I could be wrong though. They didn't give it the full Lanny Watkins 15 million treatment.
So they spent it to make it more difficult for the event. And in the first year, they had the lowest scoring average in the history of the event. So game within the game for that one. Do we have picks? Do we have picks ready to go? One and done picks ready to go for the Travelers Championship at TPC Cromwell. We have our headset mics going. We don't want to send it in.
I love that you got plays. You have plays on the back of yours.
Not on purpose. This is literally the nearest notebook I had. I just used this for basketball season.
What do you got there? What are the plays you have on that notebook? What were you trying to scheme up in the basketball game? Was it to get the 4-guy loose?
This looks like a basic give and go. Pin down.
High screen. Pin down.
High screen. These kids are 9 and 10 years old, so rarely did they follow it to a T. But a basic give and go. High screen, maybe hit the roller at the elbow there. Maybe the elbow guy could get it to the rim. Maybe he couldn't. You never know. Are you
teaching him to turn and look when he gets the ball, at least to see if the guy's still guarding him?
Yeah,
He sets the
absolutely.
screen.
Square up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Turn, seal, square. Yeah, absolutely. So that's my play.
Look at that.
What's
Fundamental
your play?
coaching.
What's your play for River
the people on
Highlands?
the audio medium of this, which is the vast majority of our audience?
Yeah.
We are wearing our new headsets that PJ got us. We're the coaching headsets. Hopefully, I improved quality, particularly from the BP side, who likes to lean around. I love the new freedom that I have now. That BP exercised forever, despite
bad mic etiquette.
Sabotaging the mic etiquette, sabotaging the audio quality. But now I have that. But we're holding up notepads to block our plays. We don't want the other coaches to see what we're looking at.
What I'm gonna go. This is ridiculous. Who's your favorite? Who's the one that is most notorious? Andy Reid, Daboll. You could get with holding the notebook or the menu up. I'm gonna go with.
I think they all do it now.
Yeah, they basically do. The first week, I'm sorry, for our last signature event of the year. I think I'm gonna go with the local. He's just basically America's local at this point. Keegan Bradley. Former winner.
I like that pick.
New England boy. We know the event means a lot to him. He's playing decent, played well. Is going to try to make the team, apparently. I don't know what's going on. I'm going with Keegan Bradley. That's my pick. The call is in. Let's see if the quarterback can execute. Who do you guys got?
Yeah, I wish I had the tank still available because he seems to have identified himself not as a major championship player, but rather as a PGA Tour specialist. And I wish this is just PGA Tour specialist central right here. Somebody that, he didn't have the stress of the weekend. I don't have him available. I am going to go with the hottest player in the world. Not
Who's
JJ
that?
Spaun. Ben Griffin.
I like it. I like it. PJ, who do you got?
I'm gonna join you on the Keegan Bradley train. Former champion, the Northeast Zone, America Zone, as you said. But furthermore, handshake of a pairing, playing with Ball Frog teammate Rory McIlroy for the first two rounds. So it's a Northeast playing with a Ball Frog. This is as comfortable of a setting as Keegan Bradley can get, I think.
I feel like the Frogs have won the offseason. We're gonna have a first ever playing Ryder Cup captain. We're going to have Adam Scott.
What would happen if he had to play against Rory, like Sunday singles? He lines it up. Could that be some frog collusion?
I think that it's clear they're gonna put up against Rory. They're gonna put Spaun against him.
You like that? Spaun against Rory.
That's right.
Two major winners. Two Players Championship playoff. Basically, the two best players in the world this year, when you think about it.
We all know who the real captain of the American team is, right?
John Wood. Who? Oh my God!
Oh no!
Nobody. The sheriff. The sheriff is the really in charge, right?
Well,
does that mean Burns is on the team?
I mean, yeah, it definitely.
I think
does.
Burns is on the team.
But what are you gonna? Is the sheriff gonna be kind of open to partnering with JJ Spaun, who won just a lawless tournament? Is that if Keegan comes and says, "Hey, you got to go play with JJ," is Scotty gonna be okay with that?
It's a fair question for the fair police. For the fair police. That's your Travelers Championship. Maybe we'll talk more about it on Friday. Maybe we won't. Who knows? Maybe we'll have a guest from the Travelers Championship to talk more about it on Friday. Maybe we'll find out more favorite fruits. Who can say? Elsewhere in the schedule for the week, PGA of America, Don Rea is hosting his KPMG Women's PGA Championship. This is Fields Ranch East at PGA Frisco. Defending champions Amy Yang.
Wait, did you get Omni in there? Because it's got Omni in the title, right?
It's not in my notes. It says Fields Ranch East at PGA Frisco is what I have.
I think it's at Omni Frisco too. It's an official title.
Well, Omni could sponsor if they want their brand included in the official title. But for now, it's Frisco.
It's like the Oaks course, the AT&T Oaks course back in the day.
This is 11 to 3 on Golf Channel, 6 to 8 at night. So 2 blocks of coverage. And then
This
11
is the
to
event
1
of the week.
11 to 1:30 on Peacock and 6 p.m. finish on Saturday, Sunday. Event of the week for you?
Yeah.
All right. We've got
I'm excited to see Frisco.
number of video. We got your video where you played Colton. Luke Colton.
Yeah.
Top AGGA player with bones on the bag. We got that where you can look at the course. We've done a number of photographs. You did a podcast with Seth Waugh. Done a lot of stuff on Frisco Fields Ranch East over the last few years. And check out the mixed bag for a full preview and debrief of the second women's major. PJ, we had you dive into this Don Rea article. Should we save it for Friday? What do you think we should do? Is this a good Friday segment, or should we go now? How much do we have here?
Well, there's enough, but we could save it for Friday.
I don't care.
Don Friday whimsy, whatever
right.
you get. Well, we might have. I said this to Meg last night. I think Don has to show up with a Wright Thompson-esque video essay for Thursday. I think he's kind of beholden to it now. If he's done it for the other two, I think he has to do it.
Hello, gentle ladies. They say
Can I follow up just a little bit?
Everything's bigger than Texas, and that's what this major is.
Oh,
it's the biggest and
that
best.
heat. Oh, that heat. That dry Texas heat.
Welcome to Frisco, sponsored by Omni.
How could you say? How could he not do it? Unless we're in his head, which I'm can't rule it out. But how could he not do it?
Can I throw a catnip call of the week?
Please.
I feel like we're gonna hear on the outros of who's the broadcast partner. It will be on NBC.
NBC, yeah.
They're gonna be hammering Leon Bridges' Texas Sun.
It's a good catnip call.
It's a good one.
It'll be every like music out.
Well,
come in.
You tried to adapt it to Pittsburgh Sun last week. You tried very, very hard to do that on the car ride home one day. So maybe NBC could take a hit.
Pittsburgh Sun.
Last but not least in our schedule for the week, we have another major. The PGA Tour Champions is going to the Kaulig.
No.
What? Yeah.
There's another what?
The Kaulig Companies Championship at Firestone Country Club, formerly known as the Senior Players Championship, just available for purchase apparently by the Kaulig Companies at Firestone Country Club in Akron, Ohio. It's the third of 5 majors on the PGA Tour Champions.
No cut major.
It's a major when Thursday, Friday, you get 9 to 11 p.m. tape delay. 2 hours tape delay. Nothing says major than 2 hours of tape delay. 3 to 6 p.m. finish on Saturday. That's insane. If I'm calling Akron, Firestone, or a senior player, I'd be pissed.
What a big couple weeks for Pittsburgh.
Are you lumping Akron in with Pittsburgh? Is that what you're doing here?
They get a suburb. They get a major in Oakmont, one of their star suburbs, and Akron, one of their big suburbs.
All right, I'm going to let the Akronites fight you on that one. Purse is $3.5 million. Defending champ is Ernie Els, which probably elevates this event in your eyes.
I might have to make it. I'm worried. Ernie. Most people would be preparing for their defense of a major championship, but Ernie had a bigger calling. He was out trying to cheer on one of his longtime friends, Adam Scott.
He was at Oakmont on Sunday.
Yeah, he was gracious and just you knew there was just a bigger presence at the event when he was there.
I spoke to someone who was aware of Ernie's impending arrival. And they said he's apparently really eager to get some camera time and extremely available to talk to people. So Ernie was looking to get out front on Sunday, and he did.
We missed our chance.
Thirst bucket of the week, maybe. Ernie Els showing up to Oakmont just looking for camera time. No,
I think
love Ernie here.
I think it might have been there. I think our chance, we might have had it. We could have pushed.
I said, my colleague is like the foremost Ernie fan. Just tell him, fried egg will do literally whatever. Lunch with the boys, we'll do whatever. And then I didn't hear back. So
breakfast with the egg with Ernie
with the egg. That's what we were going to brand.
Notables: Alker, Angel Cabrera, Darren Clark, Ernie, Padraig Harrington, Miguel Angel, Bernhard Lahner is back after skipping the last 2 majors, I guess. Colin Montgomery and Vijay Singh. PJ, do you have any picks for this?
Well,
any insight?
we should all
you want to
make
lead us
picks.
astray? All right.
Well, I'm just
Spread watch, by the way. This is a no cutter. It has been. This is the origin of the spread. Was the senior players.
The pre-content. Obviously, it's still early in the week, but the pre-content that I've seen so far, they are promoting next year's event already with the question of, will we see Tiger Woods back at Firestone? The Champions Tour is posting Tiger highlights from obviously all of the Firestone victories. So we've moved past El Pato's quest for the 5-way Grand Slam.
So they're not even talking about the next.
And
4
we've
days.
moved on to, can Tiger play next year?
A great 78-man no-cut event where somebody just takes their lashings and finishes 45 over.
I can't even find the
Firestone.
field.
They're, of course, all hitting it farther. I'll send it to you right now. They're hitting it farther than they ever used to when they played Firestone as, NEC invitationals and things like that.
You want Joe Durant, Andy? Joe Durant.
No. I need someone with more pop in the bat. I like Joe Durant on a place that, you need to find more fairways.
Who do you? I'm gonna go first. I'm just gonna throw a blind dart out here. I'm gonna go Dickie Pride. Dickie Pride. That's who I want this week at the Kaulig Companies Championship. Win Dickie Pride, plays Kirk Triplett.
He's in on a sponsor exemption.
Rob LeBritz. I'm gonna go with that. Win, play,
Dickie
show.
Pride has a sponsor exemption into a major.
Ridiculous. Ricky Fowler got less from the PGA. He's been in a major too. Who do you got, Andy? Do you have a pick for the senior players?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a guy that's got a lot of karma on his side. He was a good Samaritan this weekend, wishing a good friend well. Probably caught some of that championship buzz. That had great memories of his tremendous sportsmanship. Forward win in the '94 U.S. Open, really a win that was a jumping off point for, the greatest career in the '90s and 2000s. Not named Tiger. I'm taking defending champion Ernie Els.
Love it. Going out on a limb there.
Back to back.
Back to back. This is what great players do.
PJ.
Yeah, we had a great last week. This guy came up repeatedly last week. He's playing well. Got his first Champs Tour win in the team event with Darren Clark. I'm taking the big boy, Thomas Bjorn. You want some pop in the bat there? Big dude can get it out there. We're going with it. Okay, repeatedly talked about on this podcast for the last week.
I was looking at the sink. I thought the kitchen stew sink would be potentially a good pick here. I thought that's where you would go, Peach.
Is Bjorn in a cart? Do you remember?
I don't think he was at Congressional, at least.
Okay.
Maybe Piss Bear will be on the bag.
Who?
Piss Bear.
Oh, never heard of it. Oh, the Piss Bear, the urinating bear. Yeah, that would be good. All right. I don't have much else. News. Ridgewood is a USGA host. I love that they're announcing the 2042 AM, the USAM site at Ridgewood. I mean, do we really need the USAM sites 20 years out? I feel like that's like a long time. I kind of could see the vision of the anchor sites a little bit more last week as they explained it. But for the USAM, do we need to know the sites 20 years in advance? Anyways, that was an announcement.
Well, they got a plan for infrastructure for those 1,000 fans out there.
That's what I'm saying. I don't get it, but whatever. Okay. I think
it's all about just creating urgency with scarcity. This is really the end. The thing they don't say out loud.
Yeah.
They create leverage over these clubs by being like, look, there are only a couple dates available. This is what we need you to do.
The Oakmont explanation last week, I totally bought of like, look, of course they want to make a little bit more money, figure out how to make it monetizable more. And they're, they acquired the acreage north of the golf course. Like, I get it. So they can start building year over year and planning, like, and the way the Masters does, probably at like 10% of that. I'm not suggesting 100% of the way the Masters operates. Like, I got it. I kind of could see it and understand what they were saying. It's just, yeah, do we need the USAM 20 years out? Anyways, I think that does it for this Wednesday episode of the Shotgun Start. We'll
check
be
out
back.
our show tomorrow.
We're going to be on CBS Sports Network television. We've got some fun segments we were lining up today, bantering, batting about. We're going to be on at noon on CBS Sports Network live with our new headset mics, just letting it rip for an hour from 12 to 1 on CBS
Are we just
Sports
doing
Network.
Champions Tour coverage because they got the major?
What if we did that? What if we said, we're going to do this, but you don't know what's going to be on it. And then we just came on and talked about Champions Tour for an hour.
I could filibuster. You don't have to threaten me with a good time.
All right. We'll be on tomorrow, Wednesday, and then back for the podcast on Friday. Talk to you then.